The January 15th deadline to submit your Q4 2022 tax payment has just passed. And trust me, you do not want to overlook your quarterly taxes that come due. In case you don't know exactly what it is that I'm talking about here, let's cover the basics first. Quarterly tax payments refer to estimated tax payments made to the IRS 4 times a year. This estimated payment is calculated by adding your self-employment tax, and the self-employment tax is comprised of your Social Security and your Medicare taxes that may be due, and your income tax. This bill can add up pretty quickly, and depending on your situation, can be up to 30% of your income. That's why understanding your quarterly tax responsibility and preparing accordingly is vital when it comes to small business ownership. But wait. Before we dive too deep, let me introduce myself. If you're new here, first of all, I want to say welcome. We're so happy to have you. In case you don't already know, my name is Tawana Bryant Osborne, and I am an accountant, tax strategist, and owner of Bryant Business Solutions. I'm on a mission to assist service-based small business owners increase their net profits and reduce their tax liability so they can build long-term wealth. Now, for this week's video, we'll discuss 4 reasons why quarterly tax payments are important to you as a business owner and what you should keep in mind as you're preparing your payment. So without further ado, let's get into it. Our job is to make sure that we're not putting you in a position that is going to raise red flags. These are things that typically, as the taxpayer, you're not studying to figure out, oh, okay, this is going to trigger an audit. Not that you can ever avoid an audit. None of us are 100% free of audits, okay? Let's get that understood now. Reason number 1, staying on top of your quarterly taxes helps you save money in the long term. You might think there isn't a difference between paying your taxes in one lump sum every year instead of paying quarterly, but there's actually quite an important distinction between the two options. It takes a long time for the IRS to process your tax filings, which means they might inform you that you underpaid months later, years later, or even many years later. So while they're processing your paperwork, what you owe is accruing interest and penalties. It's for exactly this reason that paying your quarterly taxes is so important. Reason number 2, it's not just federal taxes that you should be budgeting for. Quarterly taxes don't only refer to paying federal ones. It's your responsibility as a business owner to know what state taxes you owe as well as federal. And if you owe in more than one state, that's important too. If you pair this amount with the self-employment tax rate and the income tax rate, the bill adds up pretty quickly. Making your tax payment in 4 parts makes the bill more manageable over time. Reason number 3, late payments result in penalties. The IRS is using 2 factors to calculate penalties: how much you owe and how long it took before you finally made that payment. If you miss the deadline for your quarterly tax payment, the IRS typically penalizes you 0.5% of the entire amount you owe. Now, if you continually miss the deadline, these penalties will continue to occur on a quarterly basis. For each partial or full month you do not pay the taxes in full, the penalty increases. The cap on these penalties is 25%. For example, you could be fined by the IRS up to 25% of the total amount that you owe. So it's important to understand these consequences so you save a boatload of money and stress in the future. Bonus tip: if you haven't set enough money aside to cover the entirety of what you owe for your quarterly payment, make a partial payment with what you do have available. Penalties only apply to the portion of the payment that's late. Reason number 4, there are options for methods of submitting your tax payments. Find what works best for you and stick to it. Submitting your quarterly tax payment has never been easier. After you calculate the estimated amounts, you can submit your payment either online or by mail. The IRS has excellent detailed instructions on how this is done. All you need to do is head on over to irs.gov for the exact details and directions so you never have to worry about a late payment again. You can find a direct link in the description box below. And that's all we have for this video today. You should be leaving here with a good grasp about why staying on top of your quarterly tax payments is so important. I've added the deadlines for each payment in the description box below. Now, your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to take 5 minutes today and add them to your annual calendar. Remember, if you're ever worried about calculations, have questions about payment details, or have a complicated income stream, always consult with a tax professional, someone like me. You can get on my schedule today by following the link in the description box below. Now, if you like this sort of content and you want to see more, make sure you hit the thumbs up and click the big red subscribe button in the description. And I will have a new video coming out every single week where I'll share all the juicy details of everything I've learned throughout my career and how it can completely change the way you do accounting in your business. Thanks again for watching and see you next week.